Welcome to Seattle Side Up TV. My name is Abraham Deweese. We're talking soccer today. We've got a special guest today. His name is Richard Michelson. He's the Seattle Side Up editor. We're going to talk about the Sounders against FC Dallas. We're going to talk about the U.S. Women's Cup. We'll also cover a little bit about the Open Cup that's going to happen this Tuesday. Right now joining us is Richard Michelson, soccer editor for SSU.
Hey, how's it going, Abe?
Hey, Rich, how you doing?
Doing great, doing great.
It's good to hear from you again. We're gonna talk about the Sounders, the Women's World Cup. We're also going to talk a little bit about the Open Cup that against the Timbers.
Sounds great. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, so the Sounders this weekend, they beat FC Dallas 3-0. Who is your SSU man of the match?
I definitely have to go with Brad Evans.
The captain.
The captain. He came in and he did a little blast from the past action. He came in the central midfield.
Really? He's not as a defender.
Not as a defender, no. Zach Scott started for him. I guess they didn't want him to start after the time that he had in Europe on the U.S. National team. Gonzalo Pineda, who's normally our central midfielder, along with Osvaldo Alonso, Pineda actually went out with an injury right before the half. And Schmitz decided to do a little throwback action and put Brad Evans back in the midfield.
Ah, very interesting. So instead of putting someone else like Lamar Nagel in, they decided let's get Brad Evans, a guy who knows how to play that midfield, has plenty of history of doing so. That's awesome. That's fantastic. But what happened to Pineda?
Well, we don't really know. The Sounders have been kind of mum. We're probably going to find out tomorrow when they get back to training and all the reporters swarm Starfire Stadium and whatnot. But it looks like just tweaked something a little bit, and doesn't look to be too serious. But he was definitely hobbling.
He was not doing well in the first half. Did they take him out with quote unquote injury to prevent him from getting burned? Or do you think it's actually a legitimate injury that made him look bad in the first half?
I think that he's still kind of struggling. He had gotten nicked up a couple matches before, probably came back not 100%. He did actually, there was a pretty good collision. He was down on the pitch for a few minutes getting treatment, came off the pitch, and then came back on for the last 4 or 5 minutes before the half. So, I mean, there's something legitimate there, but I would guess that he was going to get pulled at the half anyway with the way he was playing.
Well, it was great to see that Obafemi Martins came back, though.
Oh, yeah. Oba looked like himself. Other than the ugly mask, he was 100% how we expect him to be.
The ugly mask, is it one of those plexiglass ones that cover the bridge of the nose and the face?
Yes, absolutely.
Little Cody Rhodes action from WWE.
Yes, exactly. Or a little Bill Lambier.
Bill Lambier, that's
yes.
Right. Phantom of the Opera style, excellent.
Exactly.
So good old number 9, Obafemi Martins is back, and that actually coincides with how many wins the Sounders have now. They now have 9 wins.
Great. I had not thought of that.
So, I put 2 and 2 together, or I guess in this case 4 and 5 together. But it doesn't matter. The point is they now have 29 points, putting them in a pretty good position for the Supporter Shield.
Absolutely. They inched ahead of DC United. And not that this is shocking news, but DC United actually lost to Orlando today, 1-0. So the Sounders stay atop the Supporter Shield's standings with 2 games in hand.
Back where they belong. Well, let's move a little bit to the U.S. Open Cup. This Tuesday, they face the Portland Timbers in a knockout elimination bout.
Yes, they do. And it's going to be at Starfire Stadium, which is, I guess, down there in Tukwila, Kent, whatever it is down there. And I have to emphasize this point. The Sounders have lost 2 matches going back to September of 2008 at Starfire Stadium.
They're indomitable there, aren't they?
It is a fortress.
It's a fortress. Okay.
They lost a couple weeks ago. And by them I mean the Sounders 2, not the first team. The Sounders 2 lost a couple weeks ago with a very depleted Sounders 2 roster. They didn't even have a full 18 that they could pull.
Oh, wow.
And then they got blown off the field. It was kind of a one-off. They won their match this weekend against, I think it's the LA Galaxy 2. So Starfire is back to being a fortress. I would be shocked if the Sounders lose at Starfire.
And Starfire is where they play most of their U.S. Open Cup games. They have four U.S. Open Cups in the 5 years of existence.
Exactly.
What does the U.S. Open Cup mean? I know in Europe these tournaments are very important, but what does that mean in the grand scheme of things for the Sounders? How important is it to win this?
You know, it's interesting because up until the Sounders really started making it mean something, I really don't think that the MLS teams, the top tier, had really paid much attention to the U.S. Open Cup.
Well, typically most teams don't even play their top 11, their best 11.
That's true. But if you recall, when the Sounders were being formed, they decided they wanted to connect to a great degree with the community. And think about the names that were rattling around before they chose the Sounders, if you recall.
Let's see, what did they have? They were just going to go with Seattle FC.
Seattle FC or the Seattle Republic or a bunch of these other corporate weird names, right?
Yeah.
And everyone voted, and it was like overwhelming that the name for the club should be the Sounders.
Wasn't it something at the 70? First of all, it was a write-in vote. It wasn't even on the ballot. Vote.
Yep.
And it was like a 70 or 80% landslide victory.
It was a landslide victory. And the other thing is, because of that connection and how management has the connection with the different supporters clubs and the season ticket holders and whatnot, one of the things that the season ticket holders have stressed time and time again is they want silverware. They want trophies.
Yeah, definitely fill up that trophy case.
Exactly. So in response to the Sounders' dominance in the last few years in the U.S. Open Cup, I think you're going to start seeing more and more teams at the MLS level bringing their A team, their A-grade roster.
We already saw that, Rich.
We
already saw that, Rich. The Galaxy last year made sure to put in starters.
Right. I'm out here in Real Salt Lake country behind enemy lines, and they made it to the final a couple years ago, and they threw their first team at the U.S. Open Cup final. They put in a bunch of backups a couple days before that on their regular MLS match.
Wow! So they really wanted to get that. That hardware of their own.
Yeah.
Excellent. So and you attribute that all to the Sounders and
I think the Sounders have decided that they're going to make it important.
Okay.
And that the other clubs have seen this expansion franchise from up there in the Northwest. Who are they?
Southeast Alaska.
Coming in and winning from the start. And they're like, well, what are they doing? Well, one of the things they're doing is making an importance on U.S. Open Cup play.
Okay, let's focus on the opponent at hand. Now, you say we're going to win pretty easily hands down against the Timbers, but they are fourth in the West.
Yes.
There's some players we need to worry about, right?
Oh, yes.
Can you list a couple off for fans who might not know?
Sure. I can never pronounce his first name right, but Fernando Adi.
Hey, very good. Fernando Adi, I think it is.
There we go. Yeah. That's right. He's big. He's 6'4". He's Nigerian. He scores in bunches. So he'll go cold for a couple of matches, not there, non-existent, and then he starts scoring in twos, and he'll score 2 and 2 and 2 and 2. And he just probably the best comparison is with Kai Kamara in Columbus.
Oh, okay. Columbus, true, yeah. Yeah,
big, strong, true, back to the goal, kind of number 9 center forward.
Yeah, he came into the Timbers mid last season, has been very important to their success of his late. Who else do you have on that list?
Okay, the key
top guys to worry about.
The key player, the single best chance creator in MLS is Darlington Nagbe. He's 25 years old. He's super fast, super, moves, lots of jukes, and he's the most fouled player in MLS. He's also the most, he creates, MLS keeps track of chances created. He's number 1, and it's not close.
he has the biggest forehead in the MLS as well.
That is true.
I got to pick on the Timbers every once in a
Yes,
while.
absolutely. Don't you mean the matchsticks?
The fighting matchsticks, you bet.
That's right.
We're going to set them on fire.
Indeed.
So do you have anybody else you'd like to tell the audience out there?
Three other players. Jack Dewsbury is kind of their do-it-all. Best equivalent is kind of a combo between Brad Evans and Zach Scott. He's been with the team for 13 years.
Well, he's been in the MLS 13 years. But he's been with the Timbers since they started.
Yeah. He's been with them since they started. He can play anywhere, midfield, back, occasionally even at forward, but mostly he's a defensive midfielder. So he's important. He scored a game winner in stoppage time, like right at 2 seconds to go in stoppage time, just a couple of weeks ago. It was really, really dramatic. So he always plays hard. They've got a great set piece player, if you will, Diego Valeri.
Valeri.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, he's up there with Zusi and Benny Fellhaber, Javier Morales down at RSL for being able to kick the ball on set pieces and, to use the adage, really bend it like Beckham. He's also injury prone. He kind of has a glass jaw, but, I don't know what it is for soccer players. A glass feet? I don't know.
Glass feet. I heard he's not going to play though this Tuesday.
He probably will not play.
Okay.
Definitely is not going to start. He might come in late, if they get some sort of a set piece or whatnot. He might come in as a late sub, but I would not expect him on the field in general. The last person I want to mention is Will Johnson, who's coming back from an injury. And while I don't know if he'll necessarily come up to Seattle and play, if he does, I mean, the talent that he has and can bring. I mean, he was I think a 2-time All-Star for MLS when he was with Real Salt Lake.
Yeah.
And he's been injured for the last year, recovering. And so he just brings a veteran presence, but he's also, he's going to have fresh legs. So the Sounders are coming off a really long stretch of playing a ton of games. They played 6 in May. They're going to play 6 in June, not counting this Open Cup match. So that'll be 7.
That's a lot. That's a lot of games.
Yeah.
Hey, okay, so we're running low on time here, but I want to get a couple of quick hits in from you on the U.S. women's team.
Sure.
They won 3-1 versus Australia. Had a tie versus Sweden. Just give us in maybe a minute or two what your thoughts are as to things that you've seen that you like and things that they could improve on.
Okay, they've got all the talent in the world. They may not be.
They're number 2 ranked in the world, if I remember right.
Yeah,
right?
they are.
Yeah.
And I think position by position, person to person, they are the most talented team. The problem is they're not really playing great as a team. Their individual stars can be great. Megan Rapinoe, scored 2 goals against Australia. Hope Solo made some great saves against Australia when the rest of the defense didn't look like it had a clue. She's been playing great. But they are lacking creativity on the attack.
And we saw that versus Sweden.
Yes.
And Abby Wambach didn't play that game.
Right.
Is there a correlation there?
Well, possibly. Wambach is a shell of the former player that led the teams in 03 and 07 and in 2011.
Right.
Okay, she is 35. She's playing on turf.
Yeah.
Which is a totally different issue we can get into another time. But I mean, it's just hard on your body, period. It's
a 35-year-old on the attack. I mean, she's not playing forward, but even in 2011, everything went through her.
Yes.
To get up the field. But at 35, unless you're a goalie, there's not a lot of 35-year-olds playing in.
There's not, and
at elite level.
I think she's going to continue to be used as a super sub, if you will. Maybe come in at the half, give them a spark on the offensive end. She is still one of the top 2 or 3 women in the world at going up in the box on set pieces, on crosses, and getting her head on the ball.
Nice. Final thought is the game against Nigeria tomorrow for the U.S. women's team a must win.
They have to win. They can't lose. A tie really is for them. If they want to win the World Cup, They have to win.
Gotta win this one. Get the points. Excellent. Well, thank you, Rich, Seattle Side Up soccer editor, for joining us today. We'll catch you guys next time.
All right, thanks.